Hi, I'm Joy Lawrence. Welcome to my English 101B class. In this video, I will go over the syllabus and show you how to navigate my course. I'm not going to cover every part of the syllabus because I recognize that would be super boring. I do want to hit the highlights though, so let's get started. Make sure that you read the course description. In this class, we're going to do a lot of critical thinking exercises. We're going to analyze literature using criticisms. We're going to read lots of different kinds of literature. So make sure that you read through this so you know what kinds of things we're going to be doing in the class. These are the books that you'll need. You'll need this textbook, Portable Literature, Reading, Reacting, Writing, and this novel, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt. The lending library in the library on campus does have copies of this portable literature book. However, there aren't enough for all of my students in both sections of my 101B courses. So if you want to get this from the lending library for free, make sure that you get in fast. This novel is not in the lending library. However, the Porterville College Library does have an ebook version of this novel. So just keep in mind, though, that only one person can look at it at a time. So if somebody's reading it, you'll have to wait until they're done before you can access it too. I do have copies of the readings for the first 2 weeks of class embedded in the Canvas course. If you still don't have your books at the end of that second week, then you can use the copies I have on reserve in the library until your copies come in. All of the assignments in the first week of class are mandatory. I will drop students who miss them to make room in the course for students who are on the wait list. If you miss any of these assignments in the first week, but don't want to be dropped from the course, make sure to email me as soon as possible to let me know. Every week, I will send out announcements on Friday going over what we'll be doing starting on Monday of the next week. Make sure to read these announcements because there's important information in there. I think of these like my opening announcements I'd give at the beginning of a face-to-face class. I'll also send out announcements every Tuesday, midweek, to give out additional information, go over resources, provide reminders, etc. These are the student learning outcomes you should be able to do upon completing this course. Make sure to read over those when you get a chance, and you will see these again in the course on assignments to show where these student learning outcomes are being applied. These are all of the assignments that we'll cover in this class this semester. I want to point out that I determine grades based off of the number of points a student has earned by the end of the semester. I don't go off of percentages, so you'll want to make sure to keep track of your points, not percentages, so that you can have an idea of where you stand with your grade. A total of 900 points at the end of the semester will earn you an A. A minimum of 800 points will earn you a B. 700 points for a C. 600 for a D. And anything below that, so 599 points and under, will earn you an F. There are 1,000 points in this class plus some extra credit. So it's a easy to figure out scale because it's a 1,000-point scale. And so keep track of how many points you have. Just remember that the points build and you want to have this number of points, not a certain percentage. Make sure to review the submission requirements, the Students with Disabilities statement, the revision requirements, peer reviews, and future use of your work. I'm afraid if I go over all that right now, I'll lose some of you, and we haven't even gotten to the course navigation yet. Cheating and plagiarism. I know it's tempting. I know you get busy, but avoid the temptation to plagiarize. I do have your submissions run through Turnitin, so make sure that everything you write is your own for this class for this semester. Also, make sure to always provide in-text citations whenever you use information that did not come from your head. So you always want to show that outside source. And citing your sources is a good habit to get into since you'll need to do it for all of the academic essays that you write. Late work. I don't accept late work. I know things happen in life sometimes doesn't cooperate with our deadlines. That's why I have extra credit assignments, and I do have ample extra credit in my course. My late work policy is in place to help keep everyone in class on track. And if you miss an assignment, then you can do an extra credit assignment to help make up for that. To make sure that I'm fair, I don't accept late work from anyone. To keep from penalizing you, like I said, I balance this policy out by offering up extra credit. And there's an extra credit module I'll show you when we get to the course navigation. I also want to point out that almost everything will be open starting on the Friday before classes begin. The only things that remain locked are the discussions, which open a week before they start, the Friday before they start, the midterm, and the final. I have to keep those locked down so that we are staying on track with the rest of the classes at Porterville College. And I want you to think of the deadlines for the essays, the literary analysis assignments, and the quizzes. I want you to think of those as the final deadline of when they will be accepted. I encourage you to work ahead when you can so that if life happens, you've already gotten ahead. Make sure that you keep track of the drop deadlines. If you decide that this class isn't for you, then make sure that you drop before the deadlines. Also, make sure that you take a look at my attendance policy. I will drop students if they stop participating for 2 weeks of the course. Here you'll find the schedule of assignments. I don't change due dates and I don't move assignments around, so you can be guaranteed that these are the due dates for these assignments. And I recommend that you keep a copy of my syllabus handy so that you can consult the schedule of assignments as we go through the semester. The last page of the syllabus includes frequently asked questions. Make sure you read through them because your question may be answered there. If you have any questions about my syllabus or policies that aren't answered, make sure to email me so I can answer them for you. Now for the exciting part. Let me show you how to navigate my course. Let's start here with the home page. Here you'll find some useful resources, so make sure to check them out. You'll find the textbook page where you will have links to where you can find the textbooks. Of course, you can also get them at the college library. Here's another link to a copy of my syllabus. You'll find that throughout the course. Here's some Canvas resources for you. For example, if you want to see how to check your grades or just a basic Canvas overview. And some campus resources, the Learning Center, the library, the Disability Resource Center, the Veterans Resource Center. And of course, if you ever have trouble logging in, you can contact the KCCD help desk at this number. The best way to navigate my course is through the modules. Here is the link to the modules on the course navigation menu. If you work only off of the to-do list on the homepage, you'll miss all the instructional pages and you won't see how the modules are organized to deliver information that builds on previous information. And you also might miss the lectures that I give. For example, every time that we have a new author that we're going over after the first week, you will find a video where I go over the biography and I also give you a little bit of information to help you in working towards the literary analysis assignment for that week. There are a couple of different ways you can access the modules. One is using that link I showed you on the course navigation menu, and the other is on the home page. I will continue to update this picture so that when you click on it, you will go to the module for whatever week we're working on. So right now, it's linked to go directly to the first module, since that's what we're working on. Here we're looking at Module 1. Each module starts with an overview page to give a little information about what you'll be working on for each module. Once you enter a module, you should keep clicking the next button to progress to the next page. If you want to get out of an assignment or a page and go back to the modules, then you can simply click on modules. Here is that extra credit module I was telling you about earlier. It's right here between the modules for weeks 4 and 5. Most of them are TED Talks, and you will watch them and then give me a 500-word reflection just about what you thought about it, if you agree with the speaker, if it made you think of something. Make sure you do meet the 500-word requirement because that is the minimum requirement. And if you don't meet it, then your assignment will not be accepted and you won't get credit for that extra credit assignment. All of these assignments are due by 11:55 p.m. on November 23rd. And while I'm thinking about it, all of my assignments are due by 11:55 p.m. on their due dates. I do have a 90-second buffer where Canvas will accept an assignment for 90 seconds after that due date, after that deadline. But if you miss that, then Canvas locks down the assignment and you won't be able to submit your assignment. So make sure that you aren't waiting until the very last minute, because then you risk your assignment not being accepted. In addition to this extra credit module, I also have some additional extra credit assignments sprinkled throughout the course, throughout the semester. Most of those will come through the announcements. So make sure you are reading the announcements so that you can take advantage of those additional extra credit opportunities. You will have quizzes for all of the readings that you do, so make sure to have your notes with you and that you have time set aside to be able to take it, because you won't be able to save and return. Let me go to one of those quizzes to show you. So here we have quiz number 6 for Big Black Good Man. But before that, you'll want to have watched my biography video, and you'll want to have obviously read the story in the textbook, and then you will take the quiz. Make sure you have your notes with you. It's a 5-question quiz. It's multiple choice, and you have 10 minutes. So make sure that you have that time set aside so that you can finish the quiz and not have to close it, because if you close it, you won't be able to come back. We'll also have discussions for the poems and stories that we're reading in class. Each discussion has a specific topic assigned, and I open up the discussions on the Friday before the week they're due. So, for example, this discussion right here for Big Black Good Man, it will open up on Friday, September 9th, with your original post due by September 13th, and which is a Tuesday, and your 2 follow-up responses by Wednesday, September 14th. So you'll want to make sure that you keep track of the days that the discussions are due. You will also have several literary analysis assignments that you will complete for the readings. This is where you'll practice using the literary criticisms to apply to the literature that we're reading. Each one has a little bit of a different direction that it goes. So make sure that you look at the 2 different things that you're covering for each one. Each one has 2 sections, so make sure that you cover both. I also have former student submissions on all of these assignments so that you can get an idea of what I'm asking for and what is expected of you for these assignments. You're welcome to use information that you get from the discussions to help you write these, and then you're welcome to use these. This one, for example, will have an essay based on Big Black Good Man, and if the information in your literary analysis assignment that you submitted works, then you're more than welcome to use that for your essay as well. Finally, I wanted to point out that we do also have quizzes in this course on some of the instructional materials. So it's the same as the reading quizzes. They're 5 questions, 2 points each, multiple choice. Make sure that you've done the assigned reading and that you are ready and prepared to give 10 minutes for that assignment. Well, I think that covers it. That covers my course, navigation, and the syllabus. If you have any questions that weren't answered here, please send me an email so I can answer them. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great semester.